Have you ever looked down at your feet and wondered if they might be warning you about something more dangerous than just tired muscles or swollen ankles? What if those small changes you ignore every day are actually silent alarms, screaming that your kidneys are in trouble? The truth is shocking. Over 35 million Americans are living with kidney disease right now, and most of them don't even know it. 1 in 3 adults is at risk, yet many believe they're safe simply because they're still urinating normally. But here's the frightening reality. I've seen patients with kidneys so damaged they needed dialysis, and yet they were still producing plenty of urine. That illusion of safety cost them precious time, and by the time they realized what was happening, it was too late. I'm Dr. Johnny, and I want to be completely honest with you. Kidney failure doesn't always knock loudly at your door. It creeps in quietly, disguising itself. And one of the sneakiest places it shows up is in your feet. That's right, your feet. Those same feet that carry you through life can reveal toxic warning signs that your kidneys are struggling long before a blood test or a doctor's visit might confirm it. I know this might sound surprising, even unbelievable, but I've seen it time and time again in my clinic. Patients come in for something as simple as swelling, tingling, or pain in their feet, only to discover that their kidneys are silently failing. And the saddest part, so many of them tell me, "Doctor, I wish someone had warned me sooner. Maybe I could have prevented this." Those words haunt me because I know they're right. Early detection can save years of life freedom from dialysis and even prevent the need for a transplant. That's why today I'm not just giving you medical theory, I'm giving you a lifeline. In this video, I'll walk you through 7 toxic ways your feet can expose kidney failure. These are not random symptoms you can afford to ignore. They are evidence-based, life-saving clues that could mean the difference between catching kidney disease early or being blindsided when it's too late. So if you've ever felt swelling, numbness, or unexplained discomfort in your feet, stay with me, because what I'm about to share might just change the way you look at your health and your future forever. One of the very first toxic warning signs your feet can give you is swelling. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of puffiness you get after a long day on your feet. I mean swelling that lingers, swelling that leaves marks when you press your fingers into your skin, swelling that makes your socks or shoes suddenly feel tight. I remember one of my patients, a retired teacher who came to me, convinced her swollen ankles were just from getting older. She laughed it off, saying she must have eaten too much salty soup the night before. But when we ran her blood tests, the truth hit hard. Her kidneys were no longer filtering properly. What she thought was just aging was actually kidney failure, silently progressing right under her nose. Here's the science. Your kidneys are designed to filter excess salt and water out of your body. When they weaken, that fluid doesn't leave, it builds up. And where does it show? First in the feet and ankles, the lowest points of your body, where gravity pulls fluid down. According to the National Kidney Foundation, nearly 90% of patients with advanced kidney disease experience some form of edema before they even realize how sick they are. So if you wake up fine in the morning, but by evening your shoes feel tight and your feet look puffy, don't just shrug it off. That cycle of swelling and fading can be your body's way of begging you to pay attention. Because the longer fluid stays trapped, the harder your heart and kidneys have to work, and the closer you move toward dialysis or transplant. The message is simple. Swollen feet are not just a cosmetic issue. They're a red flag, a silent scream from your kidneys telling you that something is seriously wrong. But only recognizing swelling isn't enough, because there's another hidden danger that doesn't just change the way your feet look, it changes the way they feel. And that brings us to the next toxic sign. If swelling is the silent scream from your kidneys, then numbness and tingling are the electric shock signals you can't afford to ignore. I once had a patient, a former construction worker, who told me he kept stepping on nails and splinters at home, but didn't feel a thing. By the time he came to me, his feet were covered in small infected wounds he didn't even know were there. The culprit wasn't his shoes, and it wasn't his age. It was his kidneys failing to clear toxins from his blood. Here's the medical truth. When kidneys can't filter waste effectively, toxins like urea and other harmful compounds build up in your bloodstream. That toxic overload damages the nerves, especially in the longest nerves that reach all the way to your feet. This is called peripheral neuropathy, and it's why people with kidney disease often feel pins and needles burning, or even complete numbness in their toes. And the danger goes beyond discomfort. According to the American Journal of Kidney Diseases, More than half of patients with chronic kidney disease develop some level of neuropathy, often years before they're diagnosed. That means losing sensation in your feet could make you step on glass, burn yourself, or cut your skin without even realizing it. Those small unnoticed injuries can spiral into infections, ulcers, and even amputations. So here's the bottom line. If your feet tingle, burn, or feel numb, don't dismiss it as just bad circulation or getting older. It may be your kidneys whispering that something is deeply wrong. And when kidneys whisper, you need to listen, because ignoring them could cost you far more than a little foot pain. But numbness alone isn't the whole story. Because what if the discomfort in your feet goes beyond tingling and turns into real pain? Pain linked not just to nerves, but to your bones and joints themselves. That's the next toxic sign you need to know. Swelling may scream, numbness may buzz like electricity, but when kidney disease turns into pain you can feel with every single step, that's when the danger becomes impossible to ignore. I'll never forget a patient of mine, a grandmother, who loved walking her dog every morning. She told me the sharp stabbing pain in her big toe made her dread putting on her shoes. At first she thought it was arthritis, but what was really happening was far more serious. Her kidneys were no longer balancing calcium and phosphorus correctly. That imbalance weakened her bones and triggered a painful condition known as renal bone disease. Here's the science. Healthy kidneys regulate calcium, phosphorus, and parathyroid hormone, the trio that keeps your bones strong. But when kidneys fail, phosphorus levels rise and calcium drops, forcing the body to pull calcium out of the bones. Over time, this leads to brittle bones fractures and deep aching pain in the feet and legs. And that's not all, because when kidneys can't clear uric acid from the blood, it crystallizes in the joints, especially in the big toe. The result, gout, the notorious rich man's disease that strikes like fire, causing swelling redness and excruciating pain. Studies show that people with kidney disease are 3 times more likely to develop gout than those with healthy kidneys. And once it begins, flare-ups become more frequent and harder to control. So if foot pain has become a daily battle, don't just chalk it up to aging, poor shoes, or too much walking. It could be your kidneys shouting through your bones and joints that they're in crisis. Ignoring it risks not only more pain, but broken bones, limited mobility, and a faster slide toward kidney failure. But here's the twist: pain is only what you feel. Sometimes the real danger lies in what you see, or rather how your feet begin to change color right before your eyes. And that's the next toxic warning sign you need to catch early. Pain is something you feel, but sometimes the most dangerous signals aren't about what you feel at all, they're about what you see. And one of the clearest visual warnings of kidney failure is a sudden change in the color of your feet. I once treated a man in his late 60s who came in complaining his toes were turning a pale bluish color. He thought it was poor circulation from sitting too long in his recliner. But after running his labs, we found his kidneys were barely functioning. His poor circulation wasn't just a foot problem, it was kidney failure showing itself through his skin. Here's the science. When kidneys begin to fail, they don't just struggle to filter toxins, they also affect blood vessel circulation and oxygen delivery. Diabetes and high blood pressure, the 2 leading causes of kidney failure, attack the same small blood vessels that feed your feet. As a result, your toes may look pale bluish or even black if circulation is severely restricted. And it doesn't stop there. Some patients develop reddish or dark patches on their ankles and feet caused by fluid buildup and venous congestion. Others scratch constantly because high phosphorus in the blood makes the skin itch, leading to scars and darker discoloration. Studies show that patients with advanced kidney disease are far more likely to develop skin changes on their lower legs than the general population, and those changes are often the very first outward clue of hidden kidney problems. So if your feet are looking unusually pale, turning blue, developing blackened spots, or even showing persistent redness or dark patches, take it seriously. Your skin is not just cosmetic, it's a canvas where your kidneys write their warnings. But even then, there's more. Because what if the skin on your feet doesn't just change color, but becomes unbearably dry and itchy night after night? That's the next toxic signal you can't afford to overlook. If color changes are the warnings you can see, then itching is the warning you can't ignore. Because when your feet feel like they're on fire with dryness and constant scratching, it may not just be dry skin. It could be your kidneys crying out for help. One of my patients, a retired nurse, told me she would wake up in the middle of the night scratching her ankles until they bled. She tried every lotion in the drugstore, changed her laundry detergent, even wore cotton socks to bed. Nothing worked. When she finally came in, her blood work revealed dangerously high phosphorus levels. Her kidneys were no longer filtering it out. That phosphorus had turned her skin into an unbearable itch factory. Here's the science. Healthy kidneys remove excess phosphorus, imbalance electrolytes. But when they fail, phosphorus builds up in your blood, irritating the skin and triggering relentless itching. Add in dehydration, vitamin deficiencies, and toxin buildup, and suddenly the skin on your feet becomes one of the most uncomfortable symptoms of kidney failure. According to the National Institutes of Health, more than 40% of patients with advanced kidney disease experience moderate to severe itching, often focused on their feet and legs. And here's the danger. Chronic scratching doesn't just make you miserable, it breaks the skin, creates open wounds, and increases the risk of infection. That's why itchy, dry feet aren't just an annoyance. They're a sign that your kidneys are failing to do their job and they're begging for attention. So if you find yourself scratching your ankles night after night, don't just blame the weather, soap, or aging skin. The itch may not be skin deep, it may be kidney deep. But even that's not the worst part, because when kidneys fail, your feet don't just itch or discolor, they can start to break down completely, forming dangerous ulcers that refuse to heal. And that's the next toxic warning you need to know. If itching keeps you up at night, ulcers can take your nights and your days. Because once your feet start developing wounds that don't heal, the danger has gone from warning signs to flashing red sirens. I'll never forget a patient in his 70s who came in with what he thought was just a small sore on his toe. He'd been putting Band-Aids on it for weeks, waiting for it to heal. But instead of closing, the wound grew deeper and darker. By the time he sought help, the infection had spread so far that amputation was the only option left. The heartbreaking part, his kidneys had been failing silently all along, weakening his circulation and his ability to heal. Here's the science. Kidney failure doesn't just build up toxins, it also damages your blood vessels. Poor arterial flow means oxygen can't reach your toes. Poor venous flow means blood pools around your ankles. Combine that with neuropathy, the numbness we discussed earlier, and you may not even feel a blister forming. Studies show that patients with chronic kidney disease are up to 3 times more likely to develop foot ulcers than those with healthy kidneys. And once ulcers appear, their chance of leading to infection, gangrene, or even amputation skyrockets. This is why diabetic patients with kidney disease face such double jeopardy: slow healing from poor circulation plus nerve damage that hides the problem until it's too late. What starts as a tiny sore can become a life-changing complication if ignored. So here's the truth. If you notice cuts, blisters, or sores on your feet that don't heal within a couple of weeks, don't wait it out. Don't just cover them up. That stubborn wound is your body's way of saying your kidneys and your circulation are in crisis. But ulcers and infections are not the final act, because sometimes the danger doesn't come from wounds or skin at all. It comes from an invisible restlessness deep in your legs, stealing your sleep and your peace. And that's the 7th toxic warning sign of kidney failure you cannot miss. Not every danger screams through pain, swelling, or open wounds. Sometimes it shows up in the quiet of the night when your body should be resting. That's when restless leg syndrome takes over, and it's one of the most overlooked warning signs of kidney failure. One of my patients, a retired bus driver, told me he felt like his legs were crawling with ants every time he lay down. The only way he could get relief was by kicking or shaking his legs night after night until sleep became impossible. He thought it was just age catching up with him. But in reality, his kidneys were no longer producing enough erythropoietin, the hormone that keeps your blood from becoming anemic. That imbalance was fueling his restless legs. Here's the science. Kidney disease is strongly linked to restless leg syndrome because of anemia, low iron levels, and the buildup of toxins in the blood. Studies show that up to 30% of people with chronic kidney disease experience restless leg syndrome, often long before dialysis begins. The sensation is described as burning, tingling, creeping, or simply unbearable discomfort that forces constant movement. And the cruelest part, it strikes hardest at night when you're desperate for rest, leaving you exhausted and drained the next day. But restless legs aren't just about lost sleep. They're a direct signal that your kidneys can no longer maintain the delicate balance of blood and nerve health. Ignoring it doesn't just cost you rest, it pushes you closer to heart strain, high blood pressure, and faster kidney decline. So if you find yourself kicking, shaking, or pacing the floor instead of sleeping, don't dismiss it as nerves or stress. It may be your kidneys robbing you of rest, and the sooner you act, the more you can protect both your sleep and your life. But knowing these 7 toxic signs is just the beginning. Because what matters most is what you do next. The steps you take today to protect your kidneys, your freedom, and your future. And that's exactly what I'll leave you with in the conclusion. So now you know your feet are more than just the foundation that carries you through life. They can be the first to reveal the toxic warning signs of kidney failure. Swelling numbness, pain skin changes, itching ulcers, and restless legs. Each one is your body's way of whispering or sometimes shouting that something deeper may be wrong. But here's the good news. Awareness is power. Catching these symptoms early doesn't just help you avoid discomfort, it can slow down kidney decline, prevent dialysis, and in some cases even protect you from needing a transplant. Remember, it's never too late to take action for your health. If you've noticed any of these signs, don't panic, but don't ignore them either. Talk to your doctor, get your kidneys checked, and most importantly, be your own advocate. No one knows your body better than you, and no one has more power to protect your health than you. And if this video helped you understand your body better, here's my request: save this video so you can revisit it whenever you need a reminder and share it with someone you love. You never know who might be struggling with these silent symptoms right now. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for the latest kidney health insights, evidence-based advice, and real stories that can make a difference in your life. Because here's the truth, kidney disease is silent, but you don't have to face it in silence. By staying informed, taking small steps daily, and supporting one another, we can fight back against one of the most overlooked health threats of our time. So take this knowledge with you, let it empower you, and let it remind you that every choice you make matters. Your kidneys may be quiet, but they're always working for you. Now it's your turn to work for them. Stay strong, stay hopeful, and stay connected. I'm Dr. Johnny, and as always, I'm here to help you live your healthiest, happiest life.